Okay. So, like lawyers preparing for a case, I have done my research. So, my clients that I work with, they vent, they ask for my advice, and they ask how I've accomplished everything that I do without stress. Now, stress is normal, but chronic stress that consumes us is extremely unhealthy. And what we want to do is not get rid of stress, but just reduce it to a healthy level. Because if we have no stress, we would not do anything. We would not be motivated to do our jobs or even get out of bed. So when I was working at another job, I was working at a collection agency and I was answering the phones. And when people get phone calls from a collector, they are not very happy. They don't want to pay their bills and they don't want to be yelled or barked at. So I would get a lot of threats. I would have people threaten to rape me and beat me up. So I found a quote, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of, if whatever upset you today, you can't recall a year from now, it's not worth getting upset about. So every time I got a stressful call, I would read that quote over and over again, and it got me through the day. So today I'm going to cover a lot of different strategies. So how to deal with family that stresses you out, work pressures, working with coworkers that you may not like or are difficult to work with, physical pain and depression, or just if you're just not happy. So if you're dealing with family stress, where family can cause definitely a lot of stress. So for instance, someone may come home after a really hard day and see a messy house, and just seeing clothes all over the floor, or maybe dishes in the sink, that can cause a lot of stress, and that stress gets pent up. Or maybe the dinner's not ready, or maybe your spouse is nowhere to be seen, and that can really cause you to get very angry. So what a lot of people do is we complain, we get mad, but what we don't do is we don't tell people what we want or what we need. And that's a really simple thing that we can all do. It may sound simple, but in reality, it's sometimes can be really hard. So if you want your house clean, then ask, hey, when I come home at maybe 6 o'clock, is it possible that we can have the house clean? And be really specific. That's really important, to be specific with what you want. If you want dinner at 6 p.m., say you want dinner ready at 6 p.m. And if you want to be greeted as soon as you can, as soon as you come home, just say, hey, I'm coming home at 6. I would love a big hug when I come home because my day has been awful, and that would make me feel fantastic. So yeah, so that's one thing that we can do. But remember, the rest of the family needs to get involved. So figure out a time to meet with the entire family so they can talk about their wants and their wishes. So when I was very young, I was, about 3 years old. My dad was playing a game with me on the floor, and he said, okay, playtime's up, and I complained, and he said, I have to study. Don't you want me to be a dentist? And I said, no, I want you to be a daddy. So that's just something to remember, that our work, it may consume the most amount of our time, but the most important thing is our family, and you want to be the spouse, the dad, the brother, the sister. So that is that part there. So when you're dealing with coworkers, And you guys can welcome to ask me any questions. So the people that you work with, they can exude stress. So if they're stressed out, you will absorb their stress, which isn't good. So we want everybody that we work with to be in as low of a stress environment as possible. So I was working at an office with a bunch of CPAs, and this one gal, she was my supervisor. So we had 3 owners and I had a supervisor, and everybody would give me work. One of the CPAs would give me a certain amount of work, so another CPA, and the 3rd CPA. So I would have 3 bosses, and then she would give me work. And so I basically had 4 bosses. So I had no idea whose work was more important. Should I start the work from the person who's the meanest? That's usually what I did. And what she would do is she would say, do this, Nina, do that, Nina. And it really upset me. No one likes to be ordered around. And of course I was gonna do whatever work was given to me, but I got so upset. Every time I heard her barking orders at me, it just filled up my chest with anger. And so one day I said, you know what? I'll be happy to do any task that you give me, but can you please ask me to do something? And then you will obviously hear a yes from me, but it would make a huge difference. And I was very surprised by her reaction. And she said, absolutely, I'll be happy to do that. So she would say, hey, Nina, would you take care of this assignment here? And I said, absolutely. And then I would ask the bosses, which order should I do this work in? What is a priority? So instead of me just guessing and being scared, because I was in my 20s, I didn't know much about the work environment, asking for what you want at work is really important as well. And we get so many criticisms from work, from our family, our friends, ourselves. We are our worst critics. So when we're criticizing others, because sometimes we need to do that to help them get better, remember that if we just keep criticizing people over and over, they're going to get resentful and they're going to be less productive. So more compliments, less criticism, if possible. And you want to get to know your coworkers, and you may think, I don't have time, I'm really busy. But getting to know somebody on a personal level, even if it's just like a 20-minute happy hour, or just going outside of the workplace for a short period of time, you will see them in a different light, and you will most likely like them a lot better. And you will see them not just as your coworker, but as somebody who's human. And that's, we want to also have our bosses be human. We don't want our bosses, obviously, to start bawling whenever they're upset. That's not what we want, but we want them to have a human character. So if a boss does something wrong, admitting that you are wrong takes a lot of strength, and you will get a lot of respect by doing that. So admitting when we make mistakes is actually a strengthening characteristic, and it will foster a healthier work environment. Now, another thing that I learned is never say no. So as a trainer, people are always rescheduling appointments with me. And I may not have a certain appointment because a lot of people like the 8 a.m. training sessions. And I don't want to say, no, I don't have that. But instead of saying no, I just say, I have 9 o'clock, or I have 10 o'clock, or I have 7 o'clock. So I'm never saying no. I'm never saying I do not. So it's always a positive. And then typically the clients can say, great. Of course, clients really, really do not like to hear no. So work stress is a real thing. I mean, returning have a lot of stress. I mean, you guys are responsible for someone else's livelihood. You have long hours, constant criticism. Your work and home life is most likely unbalanced, like most people, but maybe even more so. You may be working very long hours into the night, and maybe the pay isn't as high as you think it should be because you are working so hard. Your deadlines may be really tight, and your workload may be more than you and your staff can handle. And you may even have safety concerns depending on who your clients are. So there's people who stress about different things. Now, are you one of those people who stresses about what might happen? Do you have a positive outlook? Or are you a pessimist or an optimist? So if you are thinking, oh my gosh, so for instance, this morning, our neighbor rang the doorbell and we had a leak, a main leak in front of our house. So our power, not our power, our water has been turned off since about 7 in the morning. So my husband is really upset. He's so mad. And I said, you know, they're going to come out. It's going to get resolved. So, you know, I would say that's maybe positive, but it's also a realistic outlook. So do you have a negative outlook? Is everything that you think about, oh my gosh, what can happen? Or are you an optimist? Are you always thinking, hey, you know, I'm going to win this case. Me and my staff are going to be prepared and we're going to do fantastic. Optimism is really, really so wonderful. It will brighten your mood and actually help you work a lot harder. So if you have other attorneys that work near you, think about them. Do some have different stress levels than you, or do some seem more stressed than others? So which person is happier, the pessimist or the optimist? So attorneys get a bad rap. So we've all heard the term shyster. You know, there's bad people in every profession. So an attorney is an advocate. An attorney represents law and order, justice, and freedom. A good attorney will help others, faces danger, has compassion, takes risks, hopefully has empathy, and combats adversity through ingenuity and courage. So I don't know if you saw, that is actually the definition of a hero. You know, and a hero, like attorneys, defends democracy. So give yourselves a hand. You do great work and you are very, very important. Gail Forman wrote in the book, Just One Night, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes you win and lose at the same time. I think a lot of you can relate to that. So what I do is I am also a vegan advocate. And I had a conversation with this one woman who was vegan. And actually she was a carnivore. And then she decided to go vegan for around 2 years. And then she started going back and adding more meat into her diet. And I had this conversation with her for over an hour to find out what happened. So I thought it was very interesting that she and I read the same books. We saw the same movies. We even listened to the same lectures. But we both came to different conclusions. And that's because we all have different experiences. You may have expert witnesses and tight evidence and heart-wrenching stories, but can't secure conviction. You can't win them all. So talking back about stress. So stress can come from many different avenues. So emails, texts, social media, phones ring off the hook. So you're getting stress from all different points. So when I went on vacation, I went to Italy, and there's the time difference. And I made the big mistake of telling people, although I'm on vacation, I will be checking my emails several times a day. So if there's anything that comes up, send me an email, I'll respond. So I was having a great vacation, and the moment I clicked on my emails and started reading the emails, my stress level just went up. Because when we're on vacation, we shouldn't be working at all. That is our time. So reclaim your time and let people know the times they can contact you. People should not be able to contact you 24 hours a day. We are human, we need our time. So also you may decide, okay, I'm gonna start at 8 and I'm gonna tell people you can contact me between 8 and 6 or whatever time frame works for you. Because otherwise people are gonna contact you whenever they feel like it. And then the moment you respond, maybe it's 7 p.m. and you said your cutoff was 6, people will remember that and they'll keep contacting you at 7, and maybe they'll push that over and over, and eventually they're gonna push you. So you're gonna get really upset and possibly yell at them. We don't want to lose control. So social media, we definitely want to reduce social media. I was on Instagram and I just had trouble getting off of it. So I got off Instagram. I know some people love it, but it was actually causing me so much stress. And I didn't realize it until I stopped. I just removed the app, deleted the app from my iPhone, and I just felt this amazing sense of calm. So if you can, try on your days off, whenever you can, just stop the social media and you will realize, wow, what a difference it makes. Self-care is not a luxury. It's something the human body needs. We actually cannot get well if we have an illness, if we don't practice self-care. I don't know if you've heard of this doctor, but her name is Dr. Brooke Goldner. Now, she reverses autoimmune conditions, and she reversed her own lupus, which people were saying all the doctors told her was irreversible. And she's found that working with thousands of clients, even if they followed her protocol to the T and worked with her every single day, they would not reverse their autoimmune diseases or get better unless they practice self-care every single day. So what that looks like for one person changes from one person to the other. So for one person, it may be having a spa day, or just even taking a bath for 30 minutes, reading a book that you love, baking. I used to bake cakes all the time, and then I would bring them to work. Like, oh, my coworkers are fat, but they love my cakes. Going for a short hike, going for a walk, anything like that. And you need to do these things every single day. At least give yourself 30 minutes every day. It's not a luxury. It's something that you need. And sleep. If you don't sleep, that can also cause a lot of stress and cause brain fog and make it harder for you to function at work and make you grumpy. So we've all felt that way. And I used to get stressed about sleep, and that stress would cause me not to sleep well. And it was one of those roller coasters. So things that I found that are very helpful to do before bed is I could do some gentle yoga. Now you can find this on, there's free yoga on YouTube. Guided meditation is wonderful. You can just lay in bed and find one of those videos. And there's a new YouTube, I should say, it's new to me. So there's a YouTube channel. His name is Martin Doulard, and he has these two cabins in the Italian Alps that he's fixing up from the ground up. And it is so relaxing. I mean, he's, with his hammer, tap, 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 and he's digging things, and it's very calming. And every night my husband and I turn it on, and within 5 minutes we fall asleep. So you might want to take a screen print of this and check it out. Wonderful for calming yourself down and falling asleep very quickly.
Nina, can you mention the name of the doctor at the outset that you mentioned?
Yes, her name is Dr. Brooke Goldner, Brooke Goldner, Goldner. And actually, I had a famous doctor, tell me that I should try her protocol because I had a whole bunch of autoimmune conditions that were causing me extreme pain. And I've been a type 1 diabetic for over 16 years. And I've been on her protocol for 4 months now, just less than 4 months. And I am completely off insulin. So type 1 and off insulin. So she said it helps everybody with autoimmune conditions, but she said she didn't know about type 1. So I'm going to have to contact her and letting her know that it's working for me. So yeah, you can find her. She has a book. It's called Goodbye Lupus. You can find her on YouTube, and she has her information. A lot of it is free.
Thank you, Nina. And it looks like Lauren has dropped some information in the chat as well. Thanks.
Wonderful. Yeah, and you can work with her directly. She has programs. She has a 101 program. She's got 6-week programs. So she is a wonderful resource. Okay, so exercise is one of those things that is so important that people just dismiss and push it off to the side. So exercise will boost your mood like nothing else. So if I don't get in my morning workout before I turn on my computer and start working on the emails and answering the phones, I will be in such a bad mood throughout the entire day because I didn't give myself me time. I didn't have a chance to work out my stress and get my aggression out through punching those weights. So I do weightlifting 5 days a week. I do low impact cardio, and I exercise every single day. And believe it or not, this allows me to work faster and more efficiently. It just gets everything moving. The benefits to exercise are incredible. It lowers our stress, it boosts our mood, you'll get more energy, it increases the circulation, you'll get better blood flow, and it lowers blood sugar because when your muscles are contracting, it takes up the glucose that is in your bloodstream. So I eat like a smoothie with 3 bananas every single morning with almond milk and cocoa powder. I make it into a chocolate smoothie, and I have that. And that way, when I'm doing my hard workout, it just takes in that glucose and it fuels my workout. So don't be afraid of healthy carbohydrates. Exercise also, believe it or not, repairs our DNA. It will preserve our bone at any age, and it will increase muscle. Now, you will hear from different organizations. For instance, the World Health Organization's recommendations is to exercise 1 hour a day, plus, in addition, 3 days of strength training. The Mayo Clinic says just to exercise 30 minutes a day. The CDC recommends 150 hours of exercise per week, and that averages 30 minutes of exercise 4 days a week, plus 2 days of strength training. And the American Heart Association recommends very similar, 150 hours a week, plus 3 days of strength. Now, Dr. Michael Greger, you may have heard of him. He is a guru regarding health, not fitness, but overall health. And he recommends 90 minutes or 1.5 hours of exercise every single day. So you're thinking, well, goodness, what is it? And Dr. Rick Goldner says, just do as much exercise as you can. So what I found is 90 minutes, like Dr. Greger states, is actually ideal. And you may think, oh my gosh, that is absolutely crazy. But if you break that down, so I mean, I'll exercise, let's say I'll do like 45 minutes of strength training, and then I'll do like a walk in the midday, and then I'll do a walk or some cardio at night. So you can break it down. Obviously, do what you can, but 90 minutes a day is I believe, ideal. Now, some people will say that exercise lowers cholesterol. It actually does not. That would be nice if it did, but there are marathon runners who are lean and strong, and they've had heart attacks as they, even as they near the finish line or even after. So don't just think that exercise can improve everything. It's not how to say it. So, but it does have wonderful benefits. So if you are interested in strength and fitness, fat loss, then I am available. You can hire me as your coach. I am available virtually. So I do virtual training sessions, and I also do one-on-one impersonal training sessions in 3 locations: Rancho Penasquitos, Carmel Valley, and Del Mar. And you can schedule the consultations through my website, thehigh5diet.com. You just pick the type of what you need from me. I have different options, and then pick the time and day, and then we'll schedule from there. So the reason why people will hire a coach, one is for support. I'm here to support you. I'm not here to criticize you. I do not demean clients like some people do. I am there to coach you and to motivate you. And also, if you are paying for a service, that is motivation and having something on your calendar. You are kept accountable. And the most important thing is you hire a trainer for results. So if you are dealing with physical pain, I've dealt with the pain, and it can be pretty miserable, and it can make everything around you really hard. So what I found is, if you are in pain, if you are constantly thinking about that pain and focusing on that pain will intensify. So I'm not saying if you're in pain, to completely ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist. You can acknowledge it. Hey, this hurts. My leg hurts, my back hurts, whatever it may be, but don't keep thinking about it. So that can make it worse. And then also let others around you know that you are in pain. So when I was in a lot of pain, I would get upset about the stupidest things. And even if somebody was being very nice to me, I would get upset. I would bark at them because I wasn't upset with them at all. I was upset because I felt miserable. So let other people know around you, hey, I'm dealing with this horrible back pain and I'm just trying to deal with it, so bear with me. That makes you human. And then people will be more understanding and they will be more apt to help you out. Now, stress can cause pain and it can make pain worse. So I don't know if anybody here has a condition called Raynaud's, and that's spelled Raynaud, as in David, apostrophe S. People actually mispronounce that all the time, but it's pronounced Raynaud's. It's a French scientist name who came up with the name for this condition. And it's where the blood flow will be stopped from stress, and then it comes rushing back. And stress can cause the arteries and blood vessels to contract, and the blood flow can slow down to the fingers and the toes. And to some people, it can be the ears and different parts of their body. So, and that can cause a lot of stress. And I can tell you this from experience because I had Raynaud's, and cold can also cause it as well. And so when I had an argument with somebody, the blood flow stopped, pretty much almost stopped to my feet. And I had to sit on the ground and massage my feet, get that blood flow back. So now I know I cannot get upset because it's going to hurt me more than it's going to hurt the other person. And if you're mad at somebody, you getting mad at them is going to hurt you more. It's going to hurt you physically. You're going to feel that stress. And that's why people get sick the following day after a fight or an argument or stressful episode, because the mind-body connection is definitely a real thing. And CBD is actually very helpful. And some people cannot take it orally. If you can put it on the skin, on those areas that hurt, massage it in, people have found a lot of help with CBD oils. So a lot of different things can cause pain, injury, that's a given. Stress, we just talked about. Dehydration is huge. Dehydration can cause headache, it can cause exhaustion, and it can cause muscle cramps. Foods can cause physical pain. Constipation, we all know that one, can cause disease, and it can cause autoimmune conditions. Alcohol, obviously we know that, and drugs, that is a given. So if your pain is caused by inflammatory foods, you can check out, and you like to cook, you can check out my book, and it's you can order it through the high5diet.com. There are anti-inflammatory foods, and these are healing foods, and there are favorite things that we like. You know, we've got the egg rolls and everything that we love to eat. Salmon without the fish, and they're all oil-free, because it's really hard to change your diet if you're eating foods that taste awful. So you can eat healthy foods that taste good. So I created my favorite recipes and added that in my book to help people. So if you do not have time to cook, or there's a company in San Diego called Plant-Based Meals, and they have no animal products and no oil. And I looked at it, a lot of the ingredients are organic, and you can give that a try. And that way you don't have to make anything, you don't have to worry about getting some ingredients in there that's going to make you feel worse. So you can check that out. And another important thing is, if you are trying to lose weight and get healthier, one of the best things that you can do is ask everyone that you interact with for help. Tell them, hey, I'm trying to lose weight, but be specific. I'm trying not to eat beef or chicken. I'm trying not to drink alcohol. I'm trying to stay away from the sweets. Would you help me to avoid those things? Because what your friends will do is, a lot of times they will make it harder for you. Oh, just have one drink. Oh, this little dessert, it's not going to make a difference. But the thing is, those foods do make a difference. And every single bite that we take hurts our bodies. I mean, think about it. When we eat a greasy meal, we feel it right away. So some of the pain we may not feel initially until we're at that boiling point. So when we're at that point where we'll feel the pain, that means the inflammation is actually really, really high. So ask everyone around you for help. The other thing that we can do is, when you're super rushed, go to maybe a Jamba Juice, or there's a lot of those places around, they'll make you a fruit smoothie, but it's really important not to add the protein powder because protein is inflammatory. And even the vegan protein powders, because they're processed, they will promote inflammation. And as Americans and most of the people around the world, we get so much protein in our diets, it's excessive. And what are proteins? Proteins are amino acids. Acids are acidic. And our body is trying to have a balance and become more alkaline. So the body is trying to get balance. So what it does is it leaches the calcium from our bones, because calcium acts as a balancer so that the acid is lower. So that's why a lot of people who eat a lot of dairy and a lot of animal protein have bone loss. Pretty scary stuff. So anyways, you can order a fruit smoothie, ask for almond milk, you can have chia seeds. It's an excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids, and throw in some greens. So you got yourself a perfect breakfast. Of course, we can make it ourselves. And for everybody who loves crackers, wants a healthy snack, Flackers crackers, get a whole bunch of those. They are a healthy snack that you can just grab at your desk. And then for those who hate dressings, salads are really healthy, but it depends on what dressing. So I found this website, and it's called California Balsamic, and they use grapes from Italy, and they have oil-free vinegars that are absolutely delectable. So that is a wonderful option. So the more salads that we eat, the better. And then obviously cruciferous vegetables are what heals our bodies. So there's something called a pleasure pain cycle. So when we're in pain, we seek pleasure, but sometimes those pleasures cause pain. So alcohol is a given one. So we may want to go out and have fun with our friends, and everyone's drinking, and so we want to drink with them. But then the next day we feel like garbage and we have a hangover. And so, well, you have another drink and then you feel good again, and the cycle continues. The same cycle occurs with drug and also with food. So pain can trigger toxic pain. Yeah, pain triggers, our, desire for pleasure, and but the pleasure ends up causing us pain. So what we have to realize is we can still have pleasure without choosing the things that cause us pain, but we need to accept a little less pleasure to get rid of pain. And then after you change the cycle, you will be out of pain, and those pleasures that you before thought aren't so great, you realize maybe you really like hiking. Maybe you end up really liking salads because they make you feel so good and you start enjoying them. So depression is a real thing, and sometimes everything that I've stated here is not enough. And so there is a therapist. His name is Louis Epstein. He has over 40 years of experience as a family and marriage counselor, and he is available to you. So he has a program. It's a 5-week program, and he offers 5 sessions. It's a skills-based approach that he designed to help you focus on change and get unstuck. So his website is louepstein.com, and that number here on the screen is his cell phone. It's 973-378-3466. You can also reach him via email at louepstein24@gmail.com. And he is a really wonderful guy. I've spoken to him several times. I had him on my YouTube channel, asking him to provide presentations to help my clients make changes. And when you speak to him, it's just like, just hearing his voice is just immediately calming, and he's a wonderful person to talk to, and he will make you feel good and help you with anything that you need. And you may think, I don't need anyone to talk to. I can talk to my family. But the thing is, your family, some things you may not want to share with them. Maybe they're the ones that are upset you, and they're not going to provide you with the feedback that are helpful to you. They are not most likely skilled therapists. So, and having someone to talk to, even if it's just a vent, even if it's just a complaint, if you talk to somebody who really listens, it can help you immensely. So make sure that you screen print this, and these slides, I will happily give them to anybody who wants them. So the book that I created is called The High Five Diet. It is a plant-based diet program, but it is so much more than that. So I start out by telling my story. I was born with severe food allergies and asthma. I was sick all the time. I'm allergic to the protein in dairy. And I talk about the difficulties that I had going out and just hanging out with friends, and even holding my friends' babies, because they would throw up the milk on me, and I would not want to hold them because I would get a rash and have to leave, and take Benadryl. So I also talk about all the diets I've tried to lose the body fat and get healthier, and the pros and cons of each. And what's probably most helpful is I provide steps to change destructive habits in my book. I also provide over 50 plant-based healing recipes. I provide my personal motivational stories. I've had people tell me that they read my book and my stories and cried, and I was wowed by that. So, and basically I wrote this to let people know that they're not alone, that everybody has struggles, regardless of what they look like, and everybody should reach out for help, and you're definitely not alone. So I originally created a diet book, but then after I got type 1 diabetes when I was in my 30s, I started doing research, and I wanted to help people, because what is out in the mainstream media can actually really make us sicker. So I help people explain what is healthy, what is not, why. I provide the science, I provide the receipts. So lots of quotes in there to help everybody.
Nina, we've got a question in the chat to go back to the therapist's information, just so that someone can have a little moment to jot down the email and the phone number, how to reach him. If you would do that, please.
Here you go. And I can read it. Do you want me to read it again too?
Sure, and I'll write it down as well to put in the chat.
And if anybody wants me to write notes, to type up some notes and highlights with all this information, I'll be happy to do so. And so LewEpstein.com, LEWEPSTEIN.com. His direct cell is 973-378-3466. Let him know Nina sent you. And his email is lewepstein24@gmail.com. And then if you have any questions, you can go to my website, thehighfivediet.com. There's a contact me. And if you need me to email you something, that is how to contact me.
Thank you, Nina, for doing that. I don't
Absolutely.
know. Are you ready for any questions? I had a couple.
Actually, yeah, let's go ahead, ask me the questions. I've got more, but I'm almost done. But yeah, go for it.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to interject because you were just mentioning about the changing of the diet and that you also had in your book steps to change destructive habits. I know sometimes these can feel overwhelming for folks because they just don't know where to start, what they should change, how much to change. So if you could just touch on that so it's not, I think a lot of times people just like dive all in and then it's a mess. So if
Yeah,
you would give a little pointer, a few pointers in that direction, that would be wonderful.
absolutely. So the most important thing you can do is avoid dairy. Dairy causes the most harm to the human body. So I tell people the first thing you can do is swap out the dairy milk for almond milk. The calcium in milk is actually so excessive, it is too acidic for us. So we don't need that much. And so just swap out yeah, you don't any there's something called nutritional yeast, and if you like Parmesan, get nutritional yeast, and that is really a good replacement. The thing I recommend is to get unfortified, because the fortified nutritional yeast has too many B vitamins in it. B12 is excessive, and I think it was B6. So unfortified. Oh, and it has too much niacin. So I made the mistake of having too much of that. And what is niacin? If you have too much of it, you get a niacin flush. So I had that flush of my entire body, and it was burning. So, so if you like nutritional yeast, just a little bit at a time. I don't overdo it, and it's great as a thickener. So that's the most important thing. And then all animal protein is toxic to the human body, and start by reducing, and then hopefully then you can eliminate those. And then the number 3 is the third most toxic is oil. We all know that sugar is inflammatory and processed foods, but from top to bottom, the most important: dairy, get rid of dairy first. Second is the animal protein. Third is the oils. And I'd say processed foods and sugar. So in that order, if you're going to do step by step by step.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. You can drop them in the chat and I'm happy to read them out to Nina.
Yeah, and we talked about, I wanted to tell it too, is we talked so physical stress can manifest from emotional stress. So I was going to physical therapy because I injured my shoulder, and then years later, my trap. So if you put your hand on your shoulders and press your fingers, not your thumb, but all the other fingers into the back, that is your trapezius. It's a large triangular muscles. And that was lifting on the left side. And what that was doing was causing neck pain, and it kept lifting, and then sometimes it wouldn't lower. So I would go get chiropractic adjustments. And then I read this book, and I can find it for you. And it talked about how an injury can come back, can seem like it comes back. But what it is, it's stress that causes tension. And the body remembers where those spots are. I think they call it stuck spots, and reactivate that pain. So what it was doing is, what I figured out is pain triggered that trap muscle to tighten, create that tension, and lift that trap up. So then I realized, wow, when I'm stressed, my trap gets elevated. So then when this happens, I realize, oh, you're stressed out, calm yourself down, your trap will go down. Now, it doesn't always help, but it is interesting that sometimes that those physical stressors can actually be caused by emotional stressors.
Interesting, because I'm experiencing that exact same thing right now. And
Yeah.
with my neck, shoulder, trap area.
Yeah,
Same.
and I thought it was so interesting. Like, sometimes the moment I sat down at my desk, my trap started lifting. And I was like, wait. I haven't been sitting here that long, and then
Exactly.
yeah. Okay, so for some reason, oh, there we go. Okay, so one day, I was very, very upset. I must have been 18 years old. My boyfriend broke up with me. So I was very depressed and all about, wah, poor me. And my neighbor came over and he said, Nina, my sister is really upset and we're worried about her. Can you please go and talk to her? So I thought, well, sure. So I left the house. I talked to her for 20 minutes because she didn't have a sister. And I thought I'll be her big sister. I talked to her and then I came home and I felt so good. Did I forget my boyfriend broke up with me? No, but I felt so fantastic the rest of the day. So helping others will help you immensely, even if it's something little. So if you're feeling bad, by helping someone else is a nice little trick. And sometimes something so little is just putting on your favorite music and getting up and dancing around. I do silly dances all the time. And it just makes me laugh because I look silly, but it boosts my mood incredibly. So music, and for me, just going outside and laying in the sun if there's sunshine. But I mean, if you're my neighbor, you will sometimes see me all wrapped up from head to toe in the winter, and all you can see is my little face, and I'm laying out in the sun because the sun just feels really good. So you do have control on stress. It's how you respond to it. You can let it take over. And there are things that no matter what, it's going to cause you stress. But whether you let that stress go to a crazy level is really up to you. And we talked about ways to reduce stress. These are actions to take. And stress is a part of living. You can't get rid of stress. And one thing that you're working and your job is stressful, but you are going to retire one day. So don't forget, we do have options. And so if you need me, you can contact me. I will be there to support you, to coach you, to motivate you, to keep you accountable, and you need results. So that is, that is what I provide. So if you are looking for someone to help you with strength, I will help you gain strength, lose body fat, and increase mobility. So if you are not happy with your physique, please schedule with me today because I don't want you to, let's prevent muscle loss, weight gain, and injury. So any questions, let me know. You can contact me anytime.
Thank you, Nina. See that anybody's dropped any questions in the chat. Nina did offer to provide some additional information and links to us that we can email to everybody that registered, along with the slides, I believe, too, Nina. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And as Nina pointed out, we can take some small steps starting today. Get out there and get your exercise, get rid of some of that dairy in our diets. And thank you again, Nina. We look forward to seeing everybody again soon on CLA's Health and Wellness presentations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nina. Take care, everyone.